Hi there, just want to make a quick video about all of the bit types that exist for all of the major fasteners. And I'm going to make this video really quick just to save somebody time from having to search all throughout the internet. The first bit is the most common type of bit for the most common type of fastener. It's the Phillips bit. By far the most common Phillips bit is the Phillips 2, which is what this bit is here. Next is the flathead bit, also called a slotted bit. Not as prevalent as they used to be, but still a very common type of fastener. Next you have the Torx bit. This is 6 sides and it looks like a star. It has a star shape. Some people call it a star drive. The technical name for it is a Torx, and whenever you see T in front of the size, that means that it's a Torx bit. For example, this is a T25 bit. Next is the Robertson drive, also called a square drive. Pretty much the same thing. They are interchangeable. There is one small difference. They both have a square head to them. The Robertson is slightly tapered, which is going to give you a little better of a hold versus a square, but pretty much they're the same thing. These are going to give you excellent holding, very little chance of slipping out. Not as common in the United States as they are in Canada, but still very common bit. Next you have the hex drive. These are generally used where you would use an Allen key. Sometimes it's just easier to have a bit to throw in the drill. You would use these for anything with those small little set screws that have the hex patterns in them. Towel bar holders, anything with a handle. This is going to be very commonly used. Next is the bolt driver bit. These generally can be used for bolts up to about 3/8 of an inch. Anything larger than that, you're going to use a socket and a ratchet. But these are much, if you can throw this in a drill, it's much quicker than using a ratchet. Isn't going to give you as much torque, but very handy to have, especially for the 1/4 inch and the 5/16 bolt heads, which are by far the most common bolts that you're going to see. The next two bits are very rare. I just wanted to include them for the video, for sake of the video. First is the ECX bit. This is also called a combination bit. It's got a combination Phillips, slotted, and Robertson head all built in one. Somebody might ask, where would you ever have to use something like this? And the answer is there's only one application that you would, and it's for either electrical switches or receptacles. They use screws that take these specialty bits. It allows you to tighten it up the maximum amount without it slipping out. These are great, but if you don't have this particular bit, you can use a Phillips, you can use a flathead, you can use a Robertson. Those all work, but this gives you the most holding power. If you're working on anything electrical, I really wouldn't recommend using a bit in a drill. You just want a little bit more precision and torque. So I'd recommend using an actual hand driver. These are both ECX drivers. This one is uninsulated, so you have to make sure that there's no power. Power is dead. This one is insulated. If there is a rare chance that the device has power going to it, you always want to use an insulated driver. But generally, you never really want to work on anything with the live circuit in general. So for the DIY person, I would recommend either making sure the power is dead or call the electrician. All right, finally, we have the most rare bit out of all of these. This is technically called an SD3L bit. The average person is never going to use this in their life, but I just thought I would include it. The only time you would use it is if you're dealing with a hex screw, with a lag screw. Say you're screwing a ledger board to the side of a house. This is the only time you would use this bit. and generally they always come in the box that you buy these screws in, so you wouldn't have to buy this bit, but very, very rare. It's very similar to a Torx. They both have a star shape, but the Torx only has 6 sides, and the SD3L has 8 sides. So these are the most common types of bits that exist. A couple of things that I want to point out is it's very nice to have this particular type of shank. It's called a 1/4-inch hex shank. And with this shank, you can put it in a drill, or you could put an impact driver. So very convenient. It stays in. You can also take it out. It's very simple. It's much easier than a drill where you have to tighten a chuck. And it's possible because it has this type of pattern, this technology where it holds itself in place. The other thing I would like to recommend is I like the longer bits, the 2-inch bits versus the small little stubby 1-inch bits, because these small ones usually fall into a drill and you have to shake the drill to get it out. They also don't work in impact drivers, so I would recommend against it. I particularly like the Weha brand. I think they make the best bits. If you buy them at Lowe's, they come with a blue collar. If you buy them online, they come with a red collar. So just kind of a random thing I noticed. But Weha does make very good bits. But I really wouldn't be concerned about quality of bits and all that getting too worked up, because if you want very high precision, you're going to be using an actual driver like this. This is a very high-end screwdriver. Has very high tolerances, and it has small little serrations at the end of the bit to keep the driver from camming out if you really have to torque something down very tight without it slipping. So for bits, I would just recommend make sure that I like the 2-inch ones. Particularly, I like the hex shank ones. But some people say, "Oh, what if I just buy something like this? It's a kit. It comes with a million different pieces." But you have to keep in mind that a lot of these pieces are the short, little stubby ones that I find don't work that well. So the other thing I would recommend is using one of these. This is made by Ernst. This is great for keeping everything organized. Usually bits get lost. With something like this, chances are much slimmer that it's going to get lost. The short little stubby ones, I would recommend keeping just a few of them around. If you're ever in a very tight area, you can use a tool like this. It's kind of like a stubby screwdriver that allows you to get in a very tight space. So the stubby ones are handy, but if you buy a kit like this, you don't really need a million of them. You only really need a couple of them. The other thing I recommend is buying one of these. This is it's called an all-in-one, and it has a lot of the bits stored in this container here, so chances of you losing them are a lot less. The only disadvantage with these are they're double-sided, so they can't be used in an impact driver, but you could always throw them in a drill. So this is nice to have. Also, the last thing is with these, either the drills or the impact drivers, I like these holders. They're magnetic. You can put the bit on either end, and less chance of you losing bits. So overall, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Thanks. Bye-bye.